Hi, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with our weekly live session. And this is the first live session of 2021. So, Happy New Year to all of you, wherever in the world you are. Generally, in most parts of the world, this is the cold weather. So you must be enjoying winters in different ways. We are right now. I'm looking outside of my window, and I see snow everywhere. We had about 6 hours of snow last night, so it's pretty pretty fun cold here. And I believe in wherever you are right now, other than the southern hemisphere, maybe Australia, South Africa, and those parts of the world, it will be cold. So hopefully you're enjoying your weekend, a cold, chilly weekend, morning, afternoon, evening, in some part of the world. And it's 2021. So with 2021, there are we all are hopeful that it will not give us as much of a tough time as 2020 did. But then when you look back at time, you feel that whatever has gone has gone. In terms of Canadian immigration, I've made a video and I've already uploaded it. I feel 2021 is going to be a much more promising year, especially for express entry applicants. And why do I feel that? I've talked about that, but I'll repeat that. Excuse me. The Canadian government immigration level plan for 2021 suggests that there are going to be about 108,000. The target number is around 108,000 PR admissions in 2021, the calendar year, which suggests that there is a likelihood of about 120 to 125,000 ITAs being issued in this particular year. And if we continue with the current frequency of two draws every weeks, a draw every 2 weeks, that would mean and about 5,000 people being invited. So that is what translates into about 125,000 ITAs being issued this year. So at this rate, even if it is about 4,500 people invited under any express entry round of invitations every 2 weeks, the expected the cutoff CRS score is expected to drop. My own opinion, and I've given this through a video as well. You could have a look at that. Details are provided in that. Is that from now up until about 2 to 3 months, maybe up until March, we will see that if there is a draw every 2 weeks, and if there is about 4,500 people being invited, we will see something like 1 to 2 CRS points dropping in every draw. So say, for instance, and this is also dependent on how many people actually enter the pool. So we'll have to wait and see for that as well. But generally, keeping all the variables where they are right now, every draw will see 1.5. So maybe in about 5 draws from now, we will have a drop of something like 7 points, 7 CRS points. And that makes me suggest that this particular year, there is a good chance that the cutoff scores will drop down to 460s for sure. And I see the CRS score dropping down to 460s probably by March. I can be wrong, but that's my calculation. After March, we'll see as to what happens next, because that is when we will start seeing some other impact as well. We all know that the COVID vaccination is there. So in some parts of the world, there might be more and more opening up. The lockdowns might be taken away. So once we see more and more people sitting for IELTS, having their ECS done, that will impact. Also, it's a very demand and supply thing. I was having a review of last few snapshots of express entry data that IRCC has shared. Excuse me. And it seems that more recently, a lot of people who are close to 450s and 60s, there aren't as many people entering the pool. Now, this might actually be because of the reason, for last so many months, we've seen the scores to be above 470 for an all-inclusive draws. CEC went below that. So that sort of triggers some disappointment in a lot of other people. So it might be that some people might not be proceeding with sitting for an IELTS or having an ECA done, because when they do their calculation, all they see is that they're already at the age of 30, or they're just about to be 30, or they're married, and with all those connotations. So a lot of them might have not proceeded further. Now that the scores have started falling below 470, this is where more and more people become hopeful. And then more and more people start proceeding with all the necessary steps of getting into the express entry pool. So, we might start seeing more people getting into the pool in about 2 to 3 months time from now. One, because of ease of the lockdown and all those policies around the world. Also, because of more and more people becoming positive that now the scores have fallen down and there is more chance for them. So probably around March, we can have that impact. Before that, if you're somebody who's already got the ECA done maybe, or have your IELTS, don't waste this time. These about 2 to 3 months is a good time period where score is going to stay below 470s. My own prediction is that it might drop to about 461, 460. After March, we'll have to again sit down and see as to what are the variables. Also, in terms of the scores bouncing back, I do expect in the later part of the year, maybe around mid of the year, that more the scores might actually start getting higher once again. And the excuse me. And the reason is that once more and more people who have French language ability, they start joining and they start entering the pool, that is going to push the score up. Now, all those people who had French language ability already with them, they have definitely entered the pool already, and that's where one big jump of CRS scores came up. But for a lot of people who are bilingual, who have some French language ability in the part of express entry profile making process, some of them might actually have got their IELTS and ECA done, and they might be looking for French language ability tests now. So that will come into picture as well in later parts of the year. Also keep in mind that some people, and I know personally, applicants who have started preparing for French, and that is going to come into picture as well. So in the later parts of the year, I do expect slightly higher CRS score people moving into the pool because of the French language ability, and that taking the score higher. So that's my take on express entry. One update that I wanted to share was that recently, Government of Canada has announced that from now onwards, there will be the requirement of having a COVID test, PCR test. Sorry, it's cold and then I have a sore throat. So any traveler who wishes to enter Canada through a flight has to have a COVID test before they can board the flight from anywhere in the world. So all those people who are traveling to Canada, be it Canadian citizens or PR, or be it international students, family reuniting, or whatever, if you are planning to travel to Canada after, and this is effective Jan the 7th. So after Jan the 7th, you have to have a COVID test, a negative COVID test for the airline to allow you to board the plane. This has to be done 72 hours before your boarding time. And the airlines will only allow like this. If there is somebody who is in a country where they don't have COVID testing facility available, they could write to the government of Canada and say if they're a citizen or permanent resident, they can travel, and then they will have to stay in federal government's quarantine facilities for 14 days over here, and only then they'll be allowed out. So this is a new policy in place. The numbers, the COVID numbers in Canada are increasing like anything. So definitely the government had to take this step. Perfect. And one more update. So recently there's a lot of buzz about a new Pmp program, which sort of has been announced. Still there's not much clarity. So it's the Newfoundland and Labrador Pmp program. It's an express entry program by Newfoundland, wherein they've announced that they are going to come up with a program where people who have the required skills and expertise for the province, which the province requires, they are going to invite these people on a priority. And this program starts from now. Although the fine details of this program are still to be shared by the province, and as they are shared, I will definitely share them through my social media posts. But just letting you know that for people who are looking for Pmp programs, Newfoundland and Labrador has announced a new Pmp program for skilled migrants that people could look into. Okie dokie. Let's move to the questions, whatever we have. Mahjabeen, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, Mahjabeen. I hope you're doing great. I always request people that do also share that where are you tuning in from. That sort of gives me a feel as to where the audience is from. So Mahjabeen, I hope you're doing well. Do share where you are from. I do see Mahjabeen's comment afterwards, so I'll take that. My daughter is 9 years old. We have applied for her schooling visa, but now RCIC want my mother biometric, but VFS is not available for visa biometric. I don't know what should I do now. You'll have to wait. You'll have to wait for the VFS to open. There is no other way that you will be allowed in unless biometrics are done. The visa application cannot be finalized. So unfortunately, you will have to wait for the visa for the biometric center to open in the country that you are residing right now. Suran Paul, what is the IELTS requirement? Suran, thank you for asking the question. And this is a common query that, or type of query that we get to have in our firm. The email address that I've provided, we get to have a lot of emails, and people say that provide me information about Canadian immigration. I want to know all about Canadian immigration. What are the requirements of Canadian immigration? Now, there are dozens of streams of Canadian immigration. So always mention as to which stream or categories requirement are you asking for. So now if you're IELTS requirement, for a study visa, the requirements are different. Actually, if you're applying for a non-SDS study permit application, the Department of Immigration, IRCC, doesn't require IELTS. So there are no requirements. If you are applying for skilled migration, the requirements are totally different. So it will depend, my dear Suran, it will depend on the stream. There is no one single requirement. If you're asking generally about skilled migration, keep in mind now Canadian skilled migration is pretty competitive, especially express entry, other PMP programs. If you're not able to score well on IELTS, and when I say well, I am talking of scores of at least 6.5, between 6.5 to 7.5. Your chances of skilled migration to Canada are very, very low, especially if you're an applicant who is outside of Canada, who doesn't have Canadian education, excuse me, or Canadian work experience. Your chances are very low. So the eligibility requirement might just be like, even for express entry, the eligibility requirement is 6 in all modules, but that is only eligibility. With that, you can all you can do is enter express entry pool, but the chances of invitation will be very, very low. So realistically, if you ask me, IELTS requirement for Canadian immigration are between 7 and 8. Hope this helps a lot of other people who are interested in knowing about Canadian immigration. Dilu.Razda. Hi, Dilu. Sorry if I pronounce any names wrong. How to come to Canada? Good question. Again, one of those generic vague questions that I get to have. So easy way is that you just sit on a plane which is headed towards Canada, and you reach Canada. There aren't any roads coming in other than the US. So you come to US and you drive through the border, and that's how you can do it. That's jokes. There are various ways. So one is that you apply for, like if you would want to move permanently to Canada. If you just want to visit for tourism, you apply for a visit visa, you come to Canada, you visit for a while, and then you go back. For those who are looking to stay in Canada on a permanent basis, there is the option of skilled migration, depending on your profile, your age, your education, your work experience, your language ability through IELTS or some other language test. You are allocated points for all these things. Based on these points, you are invited under a round of invitation. And then you apply for your PR. So that's skilled migration. There are various streams. There are provincial streams. There's a federal stream. And the other way, if you do not have a lot of those credentials, you're still a young person who's going to school or something, you could look at studying in Canada as an option, where you study in Canada, and you could study, as Majameen was mentioning, she's putting her daughter in a school, in an elementary school. So you could study high school, you could study college, university, bachelor's, master's. Once you complete your degree, you have the options of staying back in Canada on a work permit, gain some experience in Canada, and then you have enough points to apply for your permanent residency. And that is a pathway that a lot of people are using and have used in the past. Even in the last year, sorry. Even in the last year, about 60,000 PR permanent residents that were granted were for those who have completed their education in Canada. So it's a large number, people who study in Canada and then become permanent residents over here. So these are some of the ways, my friend Dilu Radza, that you could use to move to Canada permanently. Okay. Ragod saying, hi sir, can I submit my documents for PR after ITA? So yes, you have to submit all your documents for PR after ITA. Before ITA, you create your Express Entry profile and you only provide a claim for everything. You are required to provide details of your IELTS, so you have to have your IELTS. You are required to provide details of your ECA, so you have to have your ECA. These two documents should be there, but you do not really upload these documents or submit these documents. Rest of it, your age, your work experience, where you worked, and all these things, you only provide a claim for that. Like you provide details as to when you started, what was the job, what was the knockout. And based on that, you are allocated points, and then you have an ITA. Once you get the ITA, then you have these days, you have 90 days to submit all the documents, your work experience, based on where you've lived, police certificates, if you're married, your marriage certificates and stuff. So all documents are supposed to be provided after you have the ITA. Subham Bhagat, is there any work permit in Canada Visa Express? Your question is quite a mix of a few things. I think you want to ask about Canadian work permit. And you're mixing it with Express Entry. Now, Express Entry is an application system for skill migration applications. That is different. Work permit are not Canadian skill migration where you get a PR. It is a Canadian visa option for skilled workers, the temporary foreign skilled workers, where an employer offers you a job. And in most cases, they also have to apply for what is called an LMIA, a labor market impact assessment. Once they have the LMIA, your work permit is applied, and you are allowed to move to Canada for that particular job under that particular employer for a specific time period. So it might be 1 year, it might be 2 years, and that's how you come. And you come as a foreign national on a work permit who is allowed to work in Canada temporarily, like for a period of 1 year or 2 years. Your rights are not those of a permanent resident or a citizen. Like state doesn't take responsibility for that. So yes, there are work permit options, but keep in mind, for work permit, you have to have an employer offer you a job. And it is not that you can just sit in a foreign country and apply for a work permit and then come and look for a job. First, you have to find a job in Canada to be able to get a work permit. If you go on the videos that are there on my YouTube channel, you can search for Canadian work permit. I've made a video and I've mentioned all the requirements in that. So Subham and all others who are interested in Canadian work permit and would want to know the details of Canadian work permit and specific details, do watch that video, which is there on my YouTube channel. The title is Canadian work permit, so that you get the right information and then you're not directionless. Good saying, hi sir, can I submit my documents after PR after ITA being issued and go to Canada? Do I need to submit PCC again after coming back to Canada? Ragor, I have already answered about the documents. Yes, documents are submitted after the ITA. But your question, do I need to submit PCC again after coming back to Canada? Now, I don't know the sequence of events of this. In terms of police certificate, keep in mind that you have to provide, if you're in Canada, you're not required to provide police certificate for Canada. You're not asked for that. For all other countries where you stayed for a period of 6 months or more, you have to provide police certificates. and your police certificate has to be issued on or after the last time that you stayed in that country for a period of 6 months. So that's how you define it. So I don't know for how long you will be in India. So based on that, you have to do that calculation. The court has another question that, and how older bank statements are accepted for express entry. Bank statements, now again, asking the question in a clear fashion helps all of us. Your bank statement should be issued just before you submit your PR application. Now, if that is what you're asking, it has to be an updated bank statement. If you're asking as to for how many months prior to you submitting the bank statement should it be issued for? So ideally it should be issued for about 6 months, last 6 months from the date that you have it issued. Between three to 6 months is fine, but 6 months is what is generally recommended, and it should be a recent one. Kashif Sami, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. Kashif, I hope you are doing well wherever you are. And Kashif has the question, I am from India. My OINP nomination is in the dip stage, but I am also expecting an invite in the next draw since I am at 467. If I get the ITA, I have to reject my OINP to be considered. Should I reject the ITA and risk a rejection of the nomination, or should I accept the ITA? I get it in the next round and lose it. Now this is very touch and go. Let's see if 467. If we get to 467, there is good likelihood of having 467. There are two ways of looking at it, Kashif. If you are very close to your nomination for Ontario, then I would, and you've already paid the $1,500 fee for the Ontario processing, then it might not be worthwhile leaving that aside. If everything is in place, in a few months' time, you will have your nomination, and then you'll get the 600 points, and anyways, you'll get Canadian PR. Once you have a provincial nomination, usually your processing under express entry is quicker. It doesn't take all that long. They still have to do the scrutiny. And then it is the province of Ontario, so a lot of people want to be in the province of Ontario. You could be in this province for a couple of years, and then if you would want to move somewhere else. So that's one way of looking at it without wasting all that. The other is that you are still waiting for your provincial nomination. It might take a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And then you'll get into the express entry pool with 600 points. You'll have to wait for like 10 days, 15 days. And then you'll apply for your PR, and then that will take the processing time. So there is that element of some additional time that you would be required to obtain your PR if you continue with this. If you have 467 points, you are in a good position to receive an ITA. So I would say that it's going to be a very personal choice for you now between the two. One, if you don't really want to sort of just let go of the money that you've already spent and just continue proceeding with this, that's one choice. Otherwise, if you at any time, it will not be a rejection. You can recall your application. So your application will be recalled. The record will be there. If you get an ITA in your letter of explanation, you can explain that I applied for the PMP nomination at that time, but then I got an ITA over here, so I'm proceeding with this. So this doesn't really impact. So I would say that this will be more of a choice as to if you want to just leave away the money that you've spent and save a few months, or if you are fine with maybe a few more months in terms of obtaining your PR, but utilizing the effort, the money that you've spent on OINP. Mansoor Mangrio, if someone is putting his application expectancy profile as a single candidate after he will get married, so what will be procedure for spouse in expectancy profile? Well, if it is single for right now, and if you do not get an ITA, and before that you get married, you just change your details. Keep in mind, if you change your details, your points will be impacted. The points will be different. For single or non-accompanying spouse, the points are different. For married, so then to gain points, you need to have IELTS of your spouse and ECA of your spouse if you want to gain points. If you're fine with points dropping slightly and you're still above the safe zone, safe cutoff CRF zone, that's fine. And then there is also the option of applying as non-accompanying spouse, where you mention that you're married, but your spouse will not accompany you to Canada once you get your PR granted. If, say, for instance, you get an ITA, excuse me, if, say, for instance, you create your express entry profile as single, and then you get an ITA, now, if you get an ITA and during the time that you receive an ITA and you submit your PR application, you get married, you can add add your spouse, and this will not impact anything. Excuse me. If, for instance, you submit your PR application and you get married after that, then again you can update IRCC of your marital status changes, and that should not impact in any way. They do look at these things very critically, because there is the issue of the marriage of convenience, what we call as the false marriage planning, where not marriage planning, but false marriage incidences where some people actually try and exploit this these policies, and they only get married or conduct the ceremonies and stuff once they've submitted the PR application or something like that. So do keep that in mind. Majameen, I don't know which country you're from, but biometrics, if VFS is not operating in the country that you are, so biometrics requests have been extended for a period of like indefinitely, till the time that VFS centers open in those countries. And also keep in mind that they're not going to reject an application just because of one missing document if it is a study permit application. So even if it's pending, I have many clients for whom such things are pending, like one document is pending, like a biometric or something else. And right now there is a policy where they will not reject it because of this. They will keep it pending, they will not process the application, they will not reject it. Tabriz, any chances 461? Tabriz, I do feel that it will drop down close to that score, and be hopeful. Again, a lot of variables. It will depend if there is enough draws, if enough people are invited, how many people enter the pool. But I do expect we are at 468 in about 6 draws from now. If we have consistent draws every 2 weeks, and there is ITS between 4,500 to 5,000 ITS being issued, in about 6 draws from now, I expect the cutoff CRF to be at around 461. Majabeen, I don't have any idea, because I'm an immigration law professional. My focus is I know about, I've studied and I've been licensed for immigration law. These are procedural matters, and VFS is not even under Canadian government. It's a private entity, private company, so they have their own. So I don't have any idea as to when VFS will open. Sohash Krishna, which province is best for PR in next 3 years? I believe you want to ask in my viewpoint. It doesn't work like that. There isn't any province. It will depend on your profile, and that's where I say a lot of people provide just some basic information and then ask me as to which province I suggest for them. We don't work like that. Like all the RCICs and immigration lawyers, when we do a case-specific advising, it is always done for our clients, for where we take responsibilities. We are not ghost consultants, as so many consultants are there around the world who can take all this money from you and then run away, and there's no regulatory body chasing them. For us, there is a professional code of ethics. So case-specific advising is only for those people who sign up for our paid services. That's why I ask people to book consultation session if they want to discuss their case in specific. It's a virtual consultation session for which I charge 100 Canadian dollars for a 30-minute session, where I will provide you case-specific advising on your matter, whatever it is, whichever application. So there's no single province. Ontario is great. They've been inviting people from outside of Canada. Local graduates have had a lot of opportunity. British Columbia, they've been inviting a lot of people, but they've not invited people who are from outside or who do not have a job offer. So the requirements differ over there, but it's a great option. Quebec has its own programs. So just one province in next 3 years, it's very difficult to call like that. You have to look at your own credentials and then find the best suit in terms of that. My IELTS and profile both expire in February. You have to take a look at that, because for express entry, you have to have your profile and you have to have your IELTS valid as well. Your IELTS should be valid by the time that you submit your PR application. Well, Raghav, you are asking a specific question. You said that, sir, you didn't answer my whole question, and because you did not ask like that. And now my question is, can I submit documents and go to India? You never asked that. Yes, once your PR application is submitted, you can go to India. If you get an ITA, you can go to India and submit your documents from there. If you are on a valid immigration status, like you're on a study permit or you're on a work permit, you get an ITA, you can submit your application and then go to India. Absolutely no issue. I've again repeated, and this is the last time that I'll answer you on this. If your PCC will depend on your stay in India. Your PCC should be issued on or after the date, like your PCC issue date should be on or after the last time that you stayed in that country for a period of 6 months. So if you stay in India for 6 months, you have to provide a new PCC. If you don't stay in India for 6 months, it won't be required. I hope this answers. Govind, hello sir, my wife is been nursing complete. She have a 3-year work experience. How can we apply for just with the bachelor's of nursing? Finding skilled migration pathways for nurses is not all that easy. Probably what you have to do is that you have to look for a job, ask her to apply for different jobs. And that's how she could then once she comes in, she could find some possibilities. Skilled migration from outside of Canada for nurses with only a bachelor's of nursing is the possibility is not all that strong. Ashutosh, Again, sorry if I pronounce any names wrong. Hello, sir. If one wants to apply for PNPs along with EE, is there any additional charge for PNPs, or that is after getting an invitation from the province? So there are certain PNPs which are linked to express entry. Ontario, Alberta, even Saskatchewan has an express entry stream. So for most PNP programs, there is an additional fee, but you only pay that fee once you are invited. So just as in the case of express entry, you create your express entry profile, there is no cost. Once you get an ITA, then you have to submit your fee. Even for PNPs, you don't have to pay any fee upfront. You create your expression of interest with the province, depending if the province has that, or in case of some provinces which use express entry, like the province of Ontario or the Alberta, you have your express entry profile and they pick people from the express entry pool. So once you get your invitation from the province, that is when you have to submit the provincial application fee. Karthik, hi Shariq, in use of representative form, only primary applicant need to sign or secondary should also sign? Well, Karthik, this clearly shows that you're using a representative. I don't know if it is a paid representative or if it is if it is an RCIC or a lawyer. If that is the case, you should ask your RCIC or lawyer to whom you're paying as to how you have to fill this form. Until unless I know, only primary applicant need to sign or secondary should also. Now it depends. It has to be the primary applicant who is the client. But in some cases, spouse have to sign that as well, depending on if there is a spousal sponsorship element to that application. Sumit, if someone is not being able to give biometrics due to VFS, then ISSC will do the background check and perform other parameters of an applicant or not, or will it wait for the biometric? This is totally dependent on the officer. Biometrics are actually required for initiating a lot of security checks as well. So if biometrics are not there, they might not be able to do some processing. Not that without biometrics, they will not do any kind of processing. Depends on the type of application these days. Some applications are such that they are doing a lot of other processing and then waiting for biometrics. And for some, so there will be some processing. Don't worry that without biometrics, they will not process at all. But yes, if biometrics are not being done, there can be delays because some of the processes are linked with biometrics. You need to sign or should secondary also sign. Please advise I've already submitted application with only primary applicant sign. Well, if Karthik, if you've already done that, it won't. You can't really change it. NJ, any chance for CS score 462 with NOC 0124 for ONP non-tech draw in the upcoming draws? Now, you've asked a very specific question. I like that. I personally feel that with the federal CRS dropping down, ONP cutoff CRS is going to drop as well. And my own expectation is that it might actually fall down to 450s in this particular year. So stay positive. 0124 is a knock that they've invited in last many of their non-tech draws. And the scores have been above 460s. 462 has a good chance this year. 462 might have a good chance of the FSWP ITA as well this year, but maybe in about 2 to 3 months' time. So stay positive. Okay, Muhammad Taha Salim, you have asked a typical vague question that is there. I'm sorry saying it like that. Send the details of Canada ONIP immigration and what are the documents required for that. So Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program manages about a dozen different streams. Each stream has its own requirements. You can easily go online, just Google, you have this, just Google Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program Immigration Stream, and you'll have all the streams, and there will be all the. If you want specific requirements, or you want to have your self-assessed against the stream, then you need to book a consultation session with us where we will assess your possibilities against that. It is very difficult to provide requirements for each and every program. So if you go on my YouTube channel, I have made a video about the OINP, the Human Capital Priority Stream. It is actually in Urdu language. You could benefit from that as well. So do look for that video. Otherwise, it becomes close to impossible for me to practice my Monday to Friday 9 to 5, do my work, and then make all these videos as well on all these topics. So go online, look for Shariq Immigration YouTube channel, and look for Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. You'll get all the requirements. Otherwise, you could always book a consultation session with us, and we can guide you if you are eligible for OINP or some other program. Sumit, I'll try doing that. Just keep in mind that for Quebec, if you're already in Quebec, you would know that Quebec has a different immigration system, and not all RCICs are allowed to practice. You need to have French language ability. I don't have French language ability, so I don't practice for the Quebec immigration system. I can definitely make a video. I'm not an expert at that, but I'll try and make a video on that. Yeah. 5 months से processing में still tour इसका क्या बनेगा sir? Any idea? I have no idea. IRCC is the one who is going to finalize the application. So let's wait and see. Sayed Ubaid, where can I ask questions, sir? So generic questions you can always post in the comment section. My social media team will get back to you on that. Sometimes I answer that as well. Excuse me. If you have a generic question, you can send an email. The email address is there on the screen, info@shariqimmigration.com. If you would want to have your profile reviewed, you can always send it on our email address, and we are happy to do a basic review. For a case-specific assessment, you have to book a consultation session. I will, excuse me, for all of you, because this has been coming in, and I will share this. Okay, so for all of you who keep asking as to how to connect with us, or how to ask questions, or how to get consultation, if you go on our website, which is shariqimmigration.com, on the home page, at the top, you will find this option, which is book consultation. As I said, if you have a very basic eligibility assessment requirement, you can send an email on info@shariqimmigration.com, and my staff will do a basic assessment in about 2 to 3 working days and get back to you, provide you on information. These weekend sessions and the videos that I post on YouTube and Facebook are for general information. Other than this, we are not in a position to provide information about programs. We can always share the links, because that information is there. It becomes really difficult for us to provide specific information about programs, because there are there are dozens of queries every day, if not hundreds. So for those who would want to know specifics about their own processing, their own case, you can book a consultation. Just get on the website. There is the tab of book consultation at the top. You press that, and then you have all the details. It is charged at 100 Canadian dollars for a 30-minute session. So you will make a payment of 100 Canadian dollars. My staff will get back to you within a day or two, and then we'll schedule a virtual consultation session directly with me. That is where you could, like, if somebody has, and this consultation session is open-ended. So if you want to know specifically as to which streams you're eligible for, or which streams you should apply for, this is a great session where you sit down with me for 30 minutes. We look at your details, and I suggest, okay, so these are the programs that you could apply to. And then if you would want to apply on your own, you can proceed. If you would want to later use our services, we'll let you know, but I will tell you which programs you're eligible for, and then you can proceed with that. If you're already having an application for some program, and you just want clarification on one or two things, like maybe you want to have a document reviewed, or maybe there is a question that you have about a specific thing. Again, this consultation session is great that you do not have to spend a lot of money and not a full application service charge. You just book this consultation session and have a discussion on one or two things. Review of your work experience letters, or review of one of the documents. So for those of you who would want to know in specific about your case, about the options that you have, this is the way to go about, where you go on our website. At the top, you have book consultation. Click on that, and you proceed with booking the consultation session. I will stop this screen share, and I think that's about it. We have had close to about 52 minutes of this particular session. Thank you all for joining this session and asking your questions, because I believe that once people ask questions and I answer them, that helps a lot of other people know about these details. So thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you for being part of this session. I will see you next week with more questions, with more queries. There are going to be a lot of videos that I am going to upload in upcoming days. So for those who have still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos that I make and upload specific to different programs. So for people like Taha was there, other people who were asking about specific programs, subscribe to the YouTube channel, so that YouTube channel of Shariq Immigration, so that you get to know about the details of various programs and streams. That's all for today. Take very good care of yourself and your families, wherever in the world you are. Till the next time that we meet, take care, and Allah Hafiz.